Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Harlequin Holiday Reads Preview, which means that time of year when we can all break out our beautiful holiday decorations, our favorite holiday outfits, and start drinking our favorite hot cocos. So, if you need a holiday-inspired book to help set the mood, I have 6 recommendations for you, but actually one of the books has 3 stories in it, so that's really like 8 holiday reads for you for this season. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa from Lisa Latte Books, and I wish Christmas and the holidays were a year-round event, but when they can't be, you can always read a holiday Harlequin romance. And you are watching the Harlequin Books channel, where we talk all about romance. I was going to say holidays. We do talk about holiday romance books, but not all the time. All 6 of today's holiday romances are amazing, but we're going to start with my favorite trope first, which is a romantic suspense where there is a witness protection failure. So we have Hunted for the Holidays by Dina Alexander, and in here we have Shay, who has been in WITSEC for 6 years, and she has a 5-year-old daughter, which means she never got a chance to tell the dad that she was pregnant. But luckily, Mason is an FBI agent, and he has been on the trail of the bad guys that are after her and busts through the door thinking he is going to save the day and protect Shay. But she's like, great. However, we need to also take my daughter, who's 5. He looks at her, sees a lot of the same features, does the math, and realizes that this is actually his daughter. And before they can have any time to decompress, the bad guys are already there because Shay just saw them at her daughter's Christmas pageant, and I guess she thought she had time to go home, pack some stuff, and then go, but that is totally wrong. They just have to get in the car and start driving. So this is all about Mason keeping both of them safe, rekindling his romance with Shay, and finally getting to have a chance at the family he always wanted, but didn't know that it already existed. The next book is Maverick's Christmas Countdown by Heatherly Bell, and in here we have a fake relationship that gets upgraded to a fake engagement during the Christmas holiday season. So if we rewind the clock and we start back over in Thanksgiving, then we have Allison, who is visiting her family for the holidays in Montana, and they're wondering, where is her boyfriend? Because she's announced that she has this wonderful, amazing boyfriend who is a doctor. And this is in response to her family trying to set her up with Frederick, who she has 0 interest in and honestly finds a little icky. So they're like, okay, well, I guess if he is a doctor and he sounds important, I understand why he's not here. But fast forward to Christmas, they're wondering, okay, well, you're here for an extended period of time, and why is he not coming with you for this holiday season? So she realizes that she needs to produce somebody. So she calls home to her friend Rowan in Seattle, and he is actually her neighbor down the hall who is watching her plants for her while she's away. And she said, hey, why don't you come to Montana for Christmas and pretend to be my fake boyfriend who happens to be a fake doctor? And so he's like, I guess, he's in an on-again, off-again relationship with his girlfriend, and she just dumped him. So he heads out on a plane, but before he can head out on a plane, she's like, you know what, make sure you find someone to water my plants for me while you're gone, which he does. And then when he gets there, she's like watering more plants and taking care of the Christmas tree. So if you're worried at all about the plants, you don't have to. There were absolutely no plants that were neglected or harmed or left unwatered during the entirety of this book. So back to the romance, or the fake romance. They actually agreed that they need to do some fake kissing because that would sell the story, and that's naturally what would happen. They're like really committed to this whole fake relationship thing. And so they realize, though, that all of these fake kisses are turning into real kisses. But because Rowan is not a doctor, he gets caught, and they're like, hey, he's a fake. And they're like concerned for her that he maybe lied to her about being a doctor. And she's like, no. She jumps to his defense, and she's like, actually, we're engaged. And that's why he says we're engaged. And because she's like feeling the pressure because they kind of know and it's all unraveling. And so to save it, they have this even bigger lie. So you'll want to read this to find out how far they take this whole fake relationship thing and how committed they are to ensuring her family thinks it's a real relationship. The next book is Fortune's Holiday Surprise by Jennifer Wilk, in which we get to learn all about Hanukkah. and all of the yummy traditional Jewish food that goes along with it, like blintzes, challah bread, and rugula, and so much more. So in here we have Carrie, who just learned that she is now the sole guardian to her 5-year-old niece because her sister and her brother-in-law suddenly passed away. So she leaves Albuquerque right away, heads to Texas, goes to the house. She's there to support her niece and teach her all about Hanukkah, as well as help close the estate. Now, while she's going through her brother-in-law's paperwork, she finds that the brother-in-law was actually writing an apology letter to his best friend, Arlo. And she sees the envelope, so naturally she gives it to him. And Arlo is absolutely devastated because it was his best friend. They were in a bit of a tiff, but it was something that they were going to make up for later, but he just knew he didn't know that he never had a later. And so he's going to make it his mission to redeem himself by helping Carrie out with whatever she needs. And it doesn't hurt that he also really loves the little niece, and he thinks that Carrie is pretty hot. So while they are playing house together, he learns all about the Jewish traditions of Hanukkah. He's super interested in it. He's super interested in Carrie. So you'll want to read this to find out if Carrie ends up staying there in Texas or she ends up heading back to Albuquerque. Next up is our trio of historical romances. So the first one is A Mistletoe Kiss for the Governess by Christine Merrill. And this is everything you have ever wanted in a Regency romance. So all of the mannerisms are on par, like how everyone is treated, how things are run, how their day goes. And I feel like I am uniquely qualified to say that this is 100% accurate because I actually was a history major. So not that we need to fact check, but as soon as I read it, even the books that they reference inside of this story, I was like, oh, yes, that was from this era. So this was perfect. Anyways, we have Frederick, who has just returned from war. It's 1813, and he's been away for 5 years, and he has 2 daughters, and he's coming back home, and the governess that he hired to take care of them for the last 5 years, he had to hire via correspondence because he's been away. Now, they have been pen paling back and forth, so he kind of considers this person a good friend, and she's a widow just like him, and he kind of feels that she's this old curmudgeonly kind of person. So he is super surprised when he finds out she is super beautiful and very young. Now, the girls are totally in love with her. They adore her. They have been besties. They've been eating together. They've been in the sitting room together. They sing together. They do so many fun things. And when he comes home, he's like, you know what? She is the help, and she should eat with the servants and not with us. And the girls are like, no. And she also is doing totally different things, like she's decorating the whole place for the holidays, which he normally doesn't do. And she has hung mistletoe from every single doorway in the house. So if you liked The Sound of Music and you got to see like this icy sort of military guy melt because of the love of a woman and falling in love with her, this is the perfect story for you. And yes, I did love that book, so I really liked that story inside of here. The next story in here is The Earl's Yuletide Proposal by Liz Tyner, and this one is just hilarious. So we have Adriana running. It's like freezing outside in England, and she is chasing up him before he goes into the government building to officially register his wedding to her cousin, Velma. So Velma, though, is calling off the wedding because she got an anonymous card telling her that the Earl is broke. And the Earl is actually loaded, but the Earl's aunt sent the card to Velma just as a test before the wedding to see if she truly had feelings for the Earl, which clearly she did not. And so she sent her lady-in-waiting, her cousin Adriana, to go and stop him before he registers the wedding. So he's like, okay, well, that's fine. Why don't you marry me? And it's two people having two completely different conversations. She's like freezing because she's been running out in the cold and she didn't really have a jacket. He gives her his nice furry warm jacket and she's like, oh, this jacket is so wonderful. And she thinks, he's like, oh, so I'm wonderful. And she's like, yes. And she really just means the jacket. And he's like, great. So you want to marry me? And so she just says yes again. And so anyways, that's how they get engaged. So read this just because it's funny and see how far she actually takes it. The last story is Lord Grange's Snowy Reunion by Elizabeth Beacon. Now, this one is about a second chance romance. So Juno is completely in love with Lord Grange, but Lord Grange has to go off to war. Now, while he is away at war, she has another season coming up, but she wants to keep herself single and on the dating table for when Lord Grange returns. So she runs off to the country to hide out with her cousin, and her cousin's about to have a baby, or it's her uncle's about to have a baby. So she's traveling in the snow to get to him, but she's trapped by the snow. She has to stop suddenly and seek refuge in a stable. And there is Lord Grange, and he is freshly divorced and just returned back from war. And while her clothes are drying by the fireplace, they have a chance to rekindle and start that second chance romance. Our fifth book is Pregnant Enemy Christmas Bride by Maisie Yates. And this is a fake enemies book. I know. Fake enemies. I had to read that too, and honestly, this is the first time I've seen it, and I very much liked it. So Florence and Hades have been in this rival, like publicly, where they pretend like they hate each other because they are both CEOs at competing firms. So they're always bidding for the same business. They're at the same conferences, and during this entire time, and I believe since before during college, they have been secret hookup buddies. So every time they're in the same town, they go to a hotel room, they check in under an anonymous or fake name, and they hook up. Well, after 10 years, Florence ends up pregnant, and Hades is about to get married, and she cannot wait to tell Hades' bride and stop the wedding. So she gets to the church, and she's about to tell Jessica, who Hades is going to marry, and instead she runs into Hades first, and he's like, you know what, we're calling the wedding off. Don't worry about it. And he goes to tell Jessica, and Jessica is like, all right, but are you sure? Maybe we can just work something out and we can do a whole blended family thing. And I heard that and I thought, wow, this woman is like so adaptable and flexible. She is very much go with the flow and let's just make lemonade out of lemons when she hears the news. But in reality, she was just marrying Hades more as a business transaction because she owns a huge media company. She's an influencer. She thought it would have great optics for both of them. And she, again, just put a spin on this whole predicament. But Hades is like, no, I'm going to marry Florence. And Florence at that time is like, oh, well, I don't know if I was planning to get married. I just kind of wanted to stop your marriage. And I'm not really sure. So you'll want to read the rest of this book to find out how they go from hookup buddies to actually husband and wife and having a baby and the whole family thing. Our last book is Colby Christmas Rescue by Deborah Webb. And this is a very high stakes, fast paced, romantic suspense. So we have a family, the Colbys, and the grandmother is kind of like the matriarch of the group. And she has just received a ransom call from her grandson. Well, it's actually the grandson calling. And he said, they're going to kill me, Grandma, if you don't give them $10 million as well as have my sister Jamie send it. Now, Jamie is a super secret spy, and that's possibly why they kidnapped her brother. So the grandmother, apparently this whole family is super wealthy. So the grandmother sends private jet number 2 to go pick up her granddaughter. And when she does, her granddaughter's on an assignment with her partner, Kendrick. Now, Kendrick is just this really hunky, nice guy and also a spy. So he's like, I'm just going to come with and I'm going to help you out. So the two of them end up falling in love while they work to rescue her brother. All right, so I think we covered some really good holiday romance tropes. We had fake relationships, we had fake enemies, we had fake engagements, we had pregnant surprise, we had Christmas weddings, we had historical romance, romantic suspense. So all of these books are waiting for you at harlequin.com and many more. So don't worry, there are tons of holiday romances waiting for you to read them. All right, happy reading. And remember, if you like hearing about romance books, make sure to hit the subscribe button below because that's all we talk about here on the Harlequin Books channel.